I deviated from the TBR. Don't judge me. It's fine. Oh, he is feral for her and I am feral for him. Hello, beautiful besties. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. My name is Bailey and I like to read just a little bit. It is that time of the month again for our reading wrap up. Okay, this is going to be my July reading wrap up. Everything that I read in the month of July. Let me just say it was a better reading month than last month in terms of quantity, and honestly, the quality was really, really good too. So get ready. We're about to yap for a hot minute. I think, probably. It's me, so we'll probably yap for a hot minute. We read 10 books, kind of. We'll get into the why, kind of, soon. But 10 books in the month of July. So it was a very, very, very good month. So if you watched last month's reading wrap up, which was June, you will know that there was a series that I mentioned at the end of that video that I had not finished yet because I pre-film all my videos. So I have to film before the end of the month if I want to get it out on time. So we said we were going to include that in the July reading wrap up. Let me just show you what books I'm talking about. I am talking about The Wolf King and The Night Prince by Lauren Palphreyman. Okay, let's focus on The Wolf King first. This is like a paranormal fantasy romance because there's werewolves. In this world, the werewolves cannot shift unless it is a full moon. They are cursed. The werewolves are like looked down upon. Of course, the humans think that they run everything, when in fact they do not. So basically our FMC is a princess of the humans, and she is engaged to be married to a terrible, terrible man. And whenever we start out, this man and her father take her into where they have fighting pits where they pit the werewolves against each other. There's an alpha fighting a small boy, and she doesn't agree with this. She's like, stop everything. No more fighting. And so when that happens, the alpha notices her. Well, the alpha later that night that was in the fighting pit ends up escaping and taking her with him. He kidnaps her. He princess abducts her. The story starts from there. He takes her back to his people, to all the other werewolves, and there's another alpha werewolf there. And our main alpha guy, he's like, don't talk to him. He's not a good person, but she's a little bit intrigued. It goes from there. I heard before I picked this up that this was like a fun fantasy romance series and it's spicy and all of those things. It was so good. I immersive read this with the audio and the physical and I loved it. I loved it. I rated this one 4 stars and I went straight into The Night Prince, which is book 2. Loved this one even more. This is a love triangle, just so you know, and it's so well done. I ended up rating this one 4.5 stars. The plot really expanded in this book and I really, really liked that. There is one character in this that I'm just obsessed with and he is one of my favorite MMCs of the year. I believe it's going to be a trilogy and I do know that it just got picked up for Trad Publishing, so we're gonna have to wait a little bit for the 3rd book, but luckily the re-release of the 1st and 2nd books, they're not that far apart and they're both this year, so it looks like we're gonna be getting book 3 early next year, mid next year or something like that. I don't know, but I'm excited. Highly, highly recommend. And then I wanted a little bit of a genre flip. So we went straight into The Compound by Aisling Rawle. I think I'm saying that correctly now. I know I wasn't before, my bad. This was so different than things that I'm used to. So basically this is like Love Island meets Lord of the Flies. It's kind of dystopian in a way. It's very much like Love Island, and I was watching Love Island while I was reading this, so it kind of like fully immersed me in it. So basically in this one, all of these super hot singles are sent into this compound in the middle of the desert. It's not really just to find love. They don't have basic necessities on this compound and they have to do tasks in order to get them. So like a couch, toilet paper, they have to do all these crazy things. Like at one point, there's a woman who literally goes to the bathroom on the concrete because that's what they said to do in order to get something in return, right? There is a little bit of a love story in it. And while all of this is happening, there's also a war going on outside of the compound, which really isn't spoken about a whole bunch. I really, really enjoyed this. I rated it 4.75 stars. The reason it wasn't quite a 5-star for me is because I felt like the ending was lacking. I'm not talking about like the way the book ended in general. I'm talking about whenever the story was building and building and building, I felt like it missed the mark. It didn't really wow me like I thought it was going to. It was leading somewhere over here and then we went this way. You know what I mean? So it just kind of lacked a little bit, but it was close to perfect. So it was 4.75 stars. I highly recommend this if you like psychological books. It's not really a romance, but it's also not really a thriller. It's one of those that's kind of in the middle of everything. And I really enjoyed it. So 4.75 stars. Highly recommend if you want something different and something that's a lot like reality TV, but way more dystopian. And then I went into Caraval by Stephanie Garber. spoiler. Okay, I went into this with low expectations. I know a lot of people like the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy more than they like this one. I did only read the first book in this trilogy, so I only read Caraval. And I actually really enjoyed this. I had so much fun with it. It was very whimsical. If you haven't read Caraval yet, basically our FMC and her sister are royalty, and they get invited to Caraval, this magical island, right, where there's this whole competition that happens, and there's a lot of mystery surrounding it, but you get a wish at the end of it if you win, and blah, 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 right? There's a lot of magic involved. Well, they get invited, so they go, but before they go, they don't know how to get there. So the sailor comes and he's like, hey, I'll help y'all get there, you know, whatever. And once they get there, her sister gets kidnapped. Legend, the game maker, he's the one who took her. And so her and Julian, the sailor, they have to play in order to get her sister back. This was so fun. This is YA fantasy, and I really, really enjoyed it. Like I said, I went into it with low expectations, so I feel like that's what saved it for me. If I had gone into it thinking that it was gonna be this huge love story and all be all YA fantasy book, I would not have liked it. But because I went into it with low expectations and I just wanted to have a fun, silly YA fantasy time, I really, really enjoyed this. I do plan on continuing the series because it is finished. There's only 2 more books in it. I believe the second and third books follow Scarlett's sister. So I'm interested to see if I like that, because I've heard that it's like very different than this one. But I want to read Once Upon a Broken Heart, that trilogy. So I feel like in order to do that, I need to finish this one because I've already started it. And I know that we meet the MMC from Once Upon a Broken Heart in this series. So I'm excited for that. I ended up really liking this. Like I said, I rated it 4 stars. This is a book that I would have loved as a kid, so I felt like it just kind of gave me that nostalgic feeling that a YA fantasy can sometimes give you, and I enjoyed it. So if you want like a whimsical fun time, highly, highly recommend it. And then I went into a book that I was scared the hype was going to ruin for me, but I went into it with like more mild expectations because I honestly did not know if I was gonna like it or not. So I was like, if I do, great. If I don't, cool, you know, whatever. I read Shield of Sparrows by Devney Perry. This is a very, very popular book right now. I am here to say that I get the hype. It did take me a minute to get into, but once I was in it, I really, really enjoyed it. This has grade A banter, grade A MMC. The FMC kind of got on my nerves at times, but it was easy to overlook, you know? Like, she wasn't super annoying, but she wasn't my favorite FMC either. So in this one, our FMC, her name is Odessa, and she is a princess. She's the oldest princess. She has a younger sister. And in this world, there's this like treaty between all of the royalty where one daughter or son marries another family's royalty, you know, daughter or son. You get what I'm saying. The royalty marries the royalty of the different lands. So the daughter that's getting married off is called the Sparrow. It's not about birds, but she, Odessa, our FMC, she is not the favorite daughter. She is not the Sparrow. She's basically like the extra. Even though she's the oldest, her father has always been partial to his younger daughter. Her sister has been training her entire life to go be a princess of a different kingdom and be married off. And Odessa's like, I've got it made, you know, whatever. Like, I'm not the favorite, and that kind of sucks, and I really just want to please my family, and I've got a lot of like daddy issues, but it's fine. So whenever her sister's betrothed comes to pick her up and, you know, or like see her for the first time, essentially, he gets there and he's like, actually, I don't want to marry her. I want to marry you. That was a little creepy, I'm sorry. Whenever he does that, Odessa like starts shitting bricks. Actually, not really, she doesn't do that, but she's like, oh my God, what the hell? And basically her father is like, hey, you need to buck up or shut up. I need you. Did I just say that out loud? But he's like, I need you to go through with this. And while you're there, I need you to spy and find a way in for me because I plan to infiltrate their kingdom because there's something I need there. And she's not really like super comfortable with that, but she doesn't really have a choice because, like I said, daddy issues, she wants to please him. With that being said, she's like, okay, fine, I'll marry him. Turns out the prince though has this really, really growly, what's kind of like a guard. His name is the Guardian. Like, everybody calls him the Guardian. He's got supernatural powers, you know, all of that kind of thing. Everybody's scared of him. And he loves to pick on her. And so she goes and travels back with them, but things are not as they seem. I really like the way that Odessa, our FMC, kind of came into herself and became more confident and realized that she didn't really need the love of others in order to live a happy and fulfilled life. Her character growth in this book alone, in the first book, which is crazy by the way, was insane. And the MMC in this book, he's grumpy and growly and a little bit mean. And you know I love my men a little bit mean. So I actually had a really, really good time with this one. I rated it 4.25 stars. The reason it wasn't a 5-star for me was because it was a little bit of a slow start and because the FMC did get on my nerves just a little bit. I do recommend this and I will be continuing this series. Okay, and after that, after that, I went into our book club's pick of the month, which was Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil by V.E. Schwab. I had a 5-star feeling just looking at this book. The only other book I've read by V.E. Schwab is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue. After reading this one, I will be reading her backlist because, oh my God, can that woman write. If you don't know what this is about, it is marketed as toxic lesbian vampires, but I do think that it's so much more than that. This really, really explored the ideas of immortality and the effects that it would have on you as an individual, and it varies from person to person. It also really, really focused on abusive relationships and the toxic sides that different relationships can bring out of you. I also loved how every single one of these characters was toxic in their own way. They were not perfect characters at all. It is a very character-driven story, but let me tell you about it before I continue on. This book follows 3 different women. It's more of like a historical, paranormal, fiction, some romance, like in a way. It was just very, very character-driven. It was very unique, and we're following them, and they all become vampires at some point or another, and it's just telling their stories and how they're all 3 connected in the end. And it was so beautifully written. Every single one of these characters was insane in their own way. They did not make the best decisions. I'm trying to get my words together to talk about this book, but it seems like I can't because I was blown away by it. There were so many different themes and so many different lessons to be learned, and I feel like every single person is going to take something differently away from this book than the person next to them. I feel like I'm gonna spoil everything if I continue talking about it. I have goosebumps talking about this book because it was just so good. I rated this 5 stars. This is one of my favorite books of the year. I'm obsessed with it. I'm obsessed with it, and I loved it. So yes, it is toxic lesbian vampires, but it is so much more than that, okay? And I highly, highly recommend it. And then I went into The Time of Your Life by Jessa Hastings. I ended up liking this. This is not my favorite Jessa Hastings book though. I will say that. This is set in the 90s, okay? Isolde, our FMC, she is like the most famous, most beautiful model in the world at the time. And Joa is the most famous rock star in the world. He's the lead singer of Fallow, which is a very popular rock band at the time, okay? And they meet, and it is instant. Like, they are spending all of their time together. Sparks fly across the room when they look at each other, you know, that kind of thing. So it's very insta-lovey, and I'm not mad about it because the way that she writes love is just so unique, and her writing style is so unique. So basically they meet, and it is their story. This is a very, very toxic love story. I do feel like I would have enjoyed this book more if it wasn't so short, because I feel like we didn't get enough time with the characters. So I feel like it wasn't enough for me to get invested. I'm used to her writing longer books, so I feel like we have more time to get invested. They're very toxic, like I said. There was a point in this book where I did get triggered a little bit. So go into it knowing that it has very strong themes of addiction and a very toxic relationship. So there is that. But as always, the love story is just like the way that they describe love and loving each other in this book is just fantastic. I have seen people saying that it's like Magnolia and BJ in a different font. I would agree to an extent. I think that it's a very different type of love story than Magnolia and BJ, but I do think that the characters read similarly. Not as much Joa as Isolde. Isolde is very, very Magnolia coded, and Joa is kind of BJ coded. I don't think they read like the same person though. I do think that Joa is a lot more toxic, and he has a lot more, I don't know if it's more damage. He has a lot of growing to do. I feel like when Magnolia Park started, they were already in love. But in this one, they're just meeting, and so they're getting to know each other, and we're getting to know all of their trauma and their backstory and everything. But I did end up enjoying this. Like I said, it wasn't my favorite Jessa book, but it still really tugged at my heartstrings, and it made me feel. So I rated it 4 stars. I am wondering what's gonna happen in the second book, because I think this is a duology. Anywho, enjoyed it. Not my favorite, but enjoyed it. 4 stars. And then I read Play Along by Liz Tomforde. All right, I deviated from the TBR. Don't judge me, it's fine. I am here to tell you that the switch up is crazy because Isaiah Rhodes topped Ryan Shea for me. I know. I loved this book. So basically, we've already met these characters, Isaiah and Kennedy, in previous books in the Windy City series, right? So Isaiah is Kai's brother from the 3rd book, and he's a baseball player. And Kennedy is their physical trainer, physical therapist, whatever. She's one of the doctors on the team. She should be in a higher up position because she is actually a doctor. But their team doctor is a misogynistic asshole. And once he found out that she was a woman, he hired her at a lower position than she deserved. And Isaiah Isaiah has been bound and determined to get this woman's attention since she started. But there's absolutely no fraternizing between the players and the staff or anything of the sort. And this guy, this doctor, is just looking for a reason to fire Kennedy because, like I said, he's a misogynistic prick. Isaiah finds out that Kennedy's engagement ended 8 or 9 months ago. I can't remember how many months it was. But ever since then, he's been like pining. He's been down bad. He's been pining before that, but he didn't think he had a chance because she was engaged. Well, now she's not. And he is determined to get her attention. Well, at the very beginning of the book, they meet up in Vegas. They go out for a drunk night and they get married. And she's like, oh my God, I'm gonna lose my job. But it turns out, even though there's no fraternizing between the staff and the teammates, since they're already married, there's nothing that they can really do about it and she can keep her job. But now, because obviously it was a drunken night, they're not in love or whatever, they have to pretend that they're married and convince everybody that they're in love. So it's like marriage of convenience in a way, kind of accidental marriage of convenience. And Isaiah Rhodes, when I tell you that this man is so down bad, oh, he is feral for her and I am feral for him because the things that he would do for her, oh, he's just a sweetie, but he wasn't like too much of a golden retriever. You know what I mean? Like he was down bad for her, but he also would put his foot down whenever he needed to. And I really, really liked that. Their love story was my favorite of the bunch. I adore them. I rated this book 5 stars. I rated this contemporary romance book, this silly, goofy romance book, 5 stars. I had a good time. I didn't want to put it down. I ate it up. Isaiah Rhodes is everything. I can't believe he topped Ryan Shea for me. That's insane because I love Ryan Shea. He's so grumpy and growly, but I love Isaiah now. Anywho, but 5 stars, loved it. Highly, highly recommend this series. And then I deviated from the TBR again. I went into Broken Country by Clare Leslie Hall. This is like a historical fiction, thriller, romance, love triangle mashup in a way. Okay, I've been seeing it everywhere and I really, really had the urge to mood read it. So I did. It's very short. That was the qualm that I have with it, but we'll get there. So basically in this one, they're in the English countryside. Our FMC is married to a farmer. Well, at the beginning of the book, there is a trial, a murder trial going on, but we don't know who died. We don't know who did it, whatever. So as we're reading, we're kind of getting bits and pieces of the story, but we're also understanding how she ended up where she is, married to this farmer, and her past love story, because at the beginning, her childhood love, he comes back into the picture now that they're adults. And it's a very, very angsty love triangle, and it was very entertaining. The ending did shock me. I rated this 3.75 stars. 3.75 because the man that she was married to, I believed that love story, but the love story of her when she was younger, I didn't really believe it as much. I think it's because we didn't spend enough time with them. I feel like if this book was longer, it would have been more fleshed out and I would have really, really loved it. But because it was only like 300 and something pages, there's only so much love that can be felt from like 300 and something pages, you know? I enjoyed this. I understand why people are like obsessing over it because it's a very, very popular book, but it just wasn't perfect to me. And that's fine. That's okay. Reading is subjective. So 3.75 stars, that's still a good rating for me. Anything 3 stars and above is something that I would recommend to you guys. I really think that if you're into like a historical romantic thriller, that you would like this. We are in the end of the 3rd week in July. So I am obviously probably going to pick up at least one more book after my current read, but I am going to talk about my current read real quick because I'm like halfway through it and I'm having a good time. I'm reading Rewind It Back by Liz Tomforde, the final book in the Windy City series. I'm having a good time. Is it going to be my favorite? No. I like Rio. This is second chance romance. I do think that it is going to tug at my heartstrings. Yeah, I know it's not going to be a 5 star. It's not giving me that 5 star feeling. And y'all know, in order for a book to give me a 5 star feeling, I've got to be in it from the jump. At least 50 pages in, I need to be like, oh my God, I'm having so much fun. I think it may end up being more in like 4 star territory, but I'm having a fun time. Whatever I read after I film this video, I will put in next month's wrap up. That is tentatively 10 books in the month of July. I think we had a good reading month, a really good reading month. Did I read all the books on my June TBR? No, I didn't. I think the only ones that I missed were Blood and Betrayals. I didn't end up reading Us Deadly Few. What's the other one? I think that's it. Oh, and Beautiful Villain by Rebecca Kenny, the Great Gatsby with vampires retelling thing. I didn't read that one either. All of them I'll read eventually, but didn't get to them. Okay, August is going to be such a busy month. Lots of birthdays in August. And I have a super fun trip coming up at the end of August, and I'm so excited. It will fix me. So I don't know how much reading I'm gonna get done. I'm gonna try to get through most of my TBR, which if you haven't watched that video, I posted that last week. So go check that out if you want to. I would say overall, it was a good reading month and I had a fun time. There were lots of good ones in this wrap up. I hope that this gave you an idea of a book that you want to pick up. If it didn't, that sucks. I tried. I tried. So the question that I have for you guys today is, what was your favorite read of July? I want to know. I hope that July was just as good of a reading month for you guys as it was for me. And we are going to manifest having a great reading month in August as well. I hope you enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for supporting me and watching this. Don't forget to like and subscribe and do all of the things. I love you guys so much, and I will see y'all next week.